So, library. So, anyway, we're very happy that you can be here tonight and we'll be talking about air for higher education. So thank you so much, Justin.
Thanks. So, let's see. So a little bit about myself first. Flash platform developer, a multidisciplinary digital artist, and an Adobe education leader. I work at the University of Denver where I'm a senior multimedia application developer. And I work for a unit called the Center for Teaching and Learning, which I'm going to talk a little bit about so you understand the sort of framework that we work under. I also have a small business where I do some stuff, contracts, subcontracts for Air, Flex, Flash type of projects called Fractured Vision Media. And I also have an audio project called An Early Morning Letter Displays. So a little bit of background first. At the University of Denver, we have this department that I work in called the Center for Teaching and Learning, and we basically have two units in the department. We've got 10 different full-time people that are split up between these two units, pretty much down the middle. And one of the units is a teaching and learning support unit. So most importantly to this talk tonight, they do a lot of support for the applications that my unit, which is the research and development unit, produces. So we do a lot of application development. Full Fusion, Flash, Flex, Air. We also do some Java, some PHP, and really whatever is needed to be used on a specific project. We also do a lot of technology advisement and forecasting for the university. So we have to keep sort of on top of what's coming up and so forth. Two initiatives at the university that I'm going to talk about because they lay the foundation for some of my demos today. Our Alora and Course Media. Alora stands for Active Learning Object Repository Application, and it is basically a huge media catalog that we have built in actually ActionScript 2 and Cold Fusion and MySQL, which, people are, and specific people on campus, there's probably like 8 to 10 actually people that can go in and sort of contribute to this catalog. And what it is a catalog that contains video, audio, and image files. So it contains references to those files, which are actually stored on a Flash media server instance. But these files, are fully cataloged in whatever metadata schema a particular unit wants. So the art history people, they want to use VRA for everything because that's what art history people use to catalog their materials. So our Alora system allows for that. The librarians, they want to be able to, have their video library in there, and they use something called Dublin Core, which is a different metadata schema. They're both incompatible. What we did is we created this Alora system to be metadata schema agnostic. So anybody across the university can actually use this and contribute to it. And the only people that we actually have contribute to this stuff are, people who are considered expert catalogers. So people in the slide library, in the art history departments, people in the video library, in the library department, right? We also have this application, Course Media. Course Media sits on top of Alora, and this is what the students, staff, and faculty actually interact with on a day-to-day basis at the university. It's a media management system specifically geared toward courses and teaching and learning objectives. So it taps into Alora. It grabs all the information from Alora, these video, audio, and image files. It also allows instructors and students to add their personal data. So they can add things like text slides and personal images. They can refer to YouTube videos, external media like that. It doesn't go into Alora, but it's in Course Media and can be presented inside of their Course Media collections, which are normally geared towards specific classes. So what does Course Media contain? It contains a web-based video clip generator, per object narrative recorder. It's got an embed code generator if they want to, throw in some videos or a gallery of content into the Blackboard system that we use at DU. It has an integrated media viewer, so they can use the Splash-based media viewer to go through, image to image to image, video to video. They can see all of the metadata that's been professionally cataloged by the university about each particular object. And it's presented in a way that's focused per the class by the instructor. The content can be both copyright protected or public. So if they try to, embed something outside of a university-approved domain, we actually use the Flash Media Server on not only video and audio, but also images to block them from actually accessing that stuff if it's, used on an insecure domain. And there's a bunch of other tools too, but I'm going to go through a quick demo of Course Media, some of the core functionality involved, so that you can see what sort of stuff we're talking about here. It'll give good context to some of the Air applications that I'm going to be talking about in a few minutes. So this is the Course Media system, and here I've got a bunch of personal galleries. I don't actually have right now, any course galleries. I'm not teaching a course this quarter. So let's go into one of these galleries here, and it'll give you an idea of the sorts of information that these instructors have. And by the way, this is used by, this quarter alone, almost 5,000 students and faculty are logging into this thing and using it regularly. It's being used in over 300 courses at the university. So this is a core technology at the University of Denver. I want to stress that. So we can see here we've got images, videos, personal images, audio pieces. Here's a text slide, all this stuff. So what if we want to go and grab something new? So maybe I'll grab Cabinet of Dr. Caligari video. So let's go in here and do a little search. And this is going to bring up our video clip editor. And this is using, it's a Flash-based editor that is, tapping into the Flash Media Server. And we can use these little in and out point draggy guys to drag and define our specific clips that we want to use. And of course, if you were doing this as an instructor for a class, you'd be, not doing it haphazardly like this. You'd have certain pieces that you want to direct students to, right? So it's very focused. We try to have people use only the exact portion of a video that they actually need to get across their point in any specific class. So I've defined my in and out points, and you can see them here. It displays all the information to the instructor. So let's put this in my University Business Adobe gallery here. On this page, we've got a little frame capture that happens. It'll go through, it'll go to a specific frame in the actual video, and it'll capture a little bitmap in there for a thumbnail for use later on. If I go back into my University Business / Adobe gallery, way at the bottom here, I've got my new clip. And this is our integrated media viewer. So you can see we've got all the metadata information on the side here. They can scrub through the video, pause it, advance frame by frame if they want to. All these sorts of tools, full screen of course. This is flex-based, so it's, it uses the flex layout frameworks to do its thing. We've got a whole bunch of tools on the side here, so forth and so on. We can go to a text slide if we want to. Here is an image. So with images, you can zoom in and out and so forth, pan around, do whatever you need to do to get your point across, either through presentation or through study. So let's get out of the browser and talk about Air. So going beyond the traditional desktop. What do we mean by this? Pretty much doing things in Air that you really can't do in Flash Player or in a web browser. So things like tapping into the hardware of hosted systems, addressing native code on these systems, and expanding from desktop to mobile and devices. So let's have a look at hardware integration. This is the Course Media Projection System. It's used by faculty in specific rooms within the university that are set up with multiple projection systems. So 2 or more projectors with an additional instructor station. It's an Air application that is installed on the instructor station or on the instructor's laptop, and they would be able to go in. It detects how many projectors are actually hooked into the system at any current time, detects their resolutions, so forth, and it allows them to, pretty much display the stuff that they would normally display using slide projectors and so forth onto these screens. So you can see this diagram here. We have 2 screens. We have a instructor console, 2 projectors, and the instructor can manage all the stuff from this Air application console, and it just projects, whatever they want to see, the students to see on the screen. So this taps heavily into the screens package here, flash display.screen. And let's demo this. So I'm going to go into Flash Builder here. And I actually created a version of this that is specific for my Max presentation, in that it does not actually detect how many screens are attached here, since I know I am displaying from a laptop computer, which only has one screen. So what this will do is, and here you can see it firing up, it's going to detect the screens that I hard-coded in here to detect. And you'll see what I mean in a moment. Oops. There we go. Okay, so you can see here that I've got, and you may have been able to see that, I've got two black screens, right? So here are the same exact images and videos and so forth that I had within my web gallery. And I'm going over wireless here, so it's going to take a moment to pull down over the net. And with projection systems, this is squishing my actual resolution on my laptop. So I've got both of these windows overlapping, which is why you see this cutoff here. But basically, this is what the instructor sees. They're able to focus on the control panel interface, and you've got this window that's being generated behind the instructor, way back there that all the students can see. And, whatever I'm changing here is reflected in this little display window. And wireless is kind of slow, but we've got things like you're able to zoom in on an object, you can pan an object, and the instructor can do this, directly from the control panel interface. They're not always looking behind their shoulder, trying to make sure that the students are actually seeing, what is actually on the screen and all that stuff. They can toggle the projector on and off if they want to. They can toss metadata up onto the screen at any given time. So this is a subset of the metadata that is actually available for the instructor to see, which is the full set of metadata. So, if they forget a date or something like that, they're not going to look foolish in front of their students. It's also got integrated, web and stuff like that. So I hope that gives you an idea of what that does. Back to the slides. Next, we're going to talk about OS native process integration. So, current slide. We're going to talk about drop folders. So drop folders is an Air 2.0 app, and it allows the Handbrake command line interface, which is packaged within drop folders, to monitor watch and destination folders and apply a certain number of encoding presets to any files that it sees within the watch folder and transcode that, dump it into the destination folder. So basically we created this for people who don't want to really mess with a lot of stuff, but we want them to adhere to certain standards and specifics, and we want the file management process to go easily. So we create a share on a server. They can dump stuff in that share, and based on their specific profile, their preset within drop folders, it will be transcoded and delivered to a web accessible application through an alternate interface using Flash, Flex, or whatever. It's created for faculty use. It can be installed on a server or used on a desktop. And actually, probably most people who are using this are actually using it as a desktop application. So let's just run it. I've got it actually installed on this system. So here's drop folders, and here's my Max preset, but let's just blow that away. So I'm going to delete it. So let's create a miniMAX preset here. And I've got to define a watch folder. A watch folder is a folder for it to monitor. And when it sees new files come in, it'll decide whether to start processing them or not. Destination folder is, and these are both on my desktop here. I've got a W and a D folder. So let's define that. I'll put them side by side here on my actual desktop so you can see them in relation to one another. So then, for the different arguments, Handbrake arguments, it takes compiler argument, command line arguments, like anything else like that. It's a headless command line interface. So you've got to know that stuff. And you can do research on the web and figure that stuff out. You can use the actual Handbrake GUI to generate those things. Or we actually have a few here that you can just start off with. So if we want to use just the default University of Denver settings, we can do that. We can choose to preserve original files or not after they're transcoded. And we can save that. And you can have any number of presets with their own unique arguments, watch, and destination folders set up in this thing, and it'll just run. So let's actually dump something in here and see it work. I've got this little infomercial here on VD. So let's drop that into our watch folder. Okay, so it's been picked up by drop folders, and you can see here it's churning through and encoding our video for us using Handbrake CLI. And it uses the standard in and out, so I'm able to read whatever Handbrake is actually spitting out at me and display it in this this Sparklet text area here. So it's churning through, and you can see what's happening is I create a little video queue here, and the actual original file, the name is changed to preserve, make sure it's unique, and it's processed, and we're almost at the end of the process here, and you'll see it get moved. So 88%. Okay, so end encode, the file disappears from our queue, and it shows up in our destination folder. And you'll notice too, it's an MP4 now, whereas before it was an MOV. So it's pretty cool. So what happens if, say, I drop a shortcut into my watch folder? Okay, so unrecognized file type, and it's not in the video queue. It's not in watch folder anymore. In the destination folder, I now have a rejected files folder. And within there, I've got a file structure which is based on the date and timestamp. And I've got a little log here that I can see exactly what went wrong with this file. So if anybody has problems with it, they can always email me the log file, and I can say, oh, well, idiot, you're not supposed to put a shortcut in there. And that's drop folders. And we've had it available for Windows for quite some time. It's also available for Mac now, and if you do Google search for drop folders, you can use it if you want. It's made available through the community. So the last thing I want to talk about is mobile and devices. So in my opinion, mobile is going to be huge in education. Why? Well, I remember when I was in grad school, or even undergrad, you're always out at a coffee shop or a bar or something, right? And you've got some sort of a test the next day. You want to be able to access any of that information. I mean, coffee shop more than bar probably, but you understand. This allows you to access the same information, the same course media galleries that you can access through the web through your mobile device. So, oops, didn't mean to do that. So it's a mobile study aid. This is a prototype, okay? So it's nowhere near finished. But a mobile study aid for art history students. We decided to focus on art history because it's just images. They don't use a lot of video or anything like that. It's sort of a safe prototype to work in. It draws the gallery and media information from the exact same repository that course media gets its information from. The slides are displayed at random, and you can tap each image to get a, the actual metadata for the image that, these people in like Art History 101 care about, which is author, title, and date, right? If you want to grab a new random image, you just give it a little shake. Accelerometer kicks in, it grabs a random image and displays it for you. Basically what you do is you just go in there and you choose a gallery from your collections, and it just starts serving you stuff. So I'm going to show a demo of that, but I also, got access to the burrito stuff, right? So I wanted to see how the burrito stuff compared to just doing stuff in straight ActionScript, which I've been doing, ever since I was able to work on that. So what are the differences? Much of the orientation layout structure is provided by Flex. I mean, that's one of the great things about the Flex framework, is that it does all that layout stuff for you, or it allows you to, tweak it, of course, however you want, but a lot of stuff is already there. So, you don't have to build a lot of that stuff like I did in my ActionScript application. Many of the components are, of course, optimized for mobile. And you've got like your new view structure, the action bar, which the effective UI guys showed off there. And, all that good stuff that is, targeted directly for mobile. So it provides you with a whole bunch of stuff to really get going. So let's have a look at both of these applications. And it's really two versions of the same app. So I'm in Flash Professional now. And if I back up here, you can see I laid everything out on the timeline, and I've got just a basic, basic main class here, document class to kind of control everything. Again, both of these are huge prototypes. None of these two are actually being used at the university. So if I go show all, you can see all I'm doing is, from screen to screen, from view to view, it's just a basic motion tweet. So they log in, they're presented with their galleries, they choose one, it brings up a random image, they tap that, it shows the metadata, tap it again, it goes back. So all that stuff is constructed on the timeline, it's driven through ActionScript through this file here. So let's compile that. And, okay, so we're going to log into the system here, and you'll probably notice these are the same exact galleries that I got, from all the other course media type things that I went through. So let's go to the same thing. So there's my daughter. So that's a personal image. If I go back, I obviously can't do a little shake here, right? But if I go back, it should actually give a random one. Okay, it's bringing something else up now. And if I click that, it gives me the stuff. So that's the basic drive behind that. The actual, windowed application, or what's it, mobile application in Flex, Study Shuffler. Let's fire that up, compile. And you can see here that, it's basically the same thing. I just wanted to see what the experience was like, going from one to another. And the biggest thing is really that you've got all this stuff to just jumpstart. I mean, if you're doing something that is truly sort of an application view or state-based, and I don't know why this isn't working. It worked at Max, but there we go. So you got your galleries. I'll choose the same gallery, and here we go. So I'm using an overlay now instead of the rest of the thing. So you can see it basically works the same exact way. Again, the biggest advantage to doing stuff using these Flex frameworks is that you've got a whole bunch of foundations, views and stuff like that. You can pop and push views all you want, and it's built for that. A bad thing about it is that you've got that Flex overhead, right? So something you compile in just Flash Professional using straight up ActionScript, it's going to be a lot smaller than something that you use the Flex SDKs for when you're doing that stuff. So it's definitely a trade-off when you're doing that stuff. So that's it. You can, if you want more information, you can go to my weblog at inflagrantedelicto.memoryspiral.com. My Twitter is Joseph Lebrecht, and I probably Twitter about 20 times a day. My email is joseph.lebrecht@tu.edu. So thank you.